Jake DeBrusk and the Toronto Maple Leafs have mutual interest. Plus, the Jets set the defensive market by signing defenseman Dylan Demelo for 4 more seasons. I'm going to go through and break both these things down coming up on this episode of Hat-Trick HQ. So with that said, let's just jump right into the first topic of the video today, which is Jets set the defense market. And yes, a lot of people have been waiting for this to happen. They've been waiting for the market to get set of where the range of money in defensemen is going to be for this offseason, especially the Toronto Maple Leafs trying to shore up that blue line and trying to see how much money they will have to spend. And the Jets set this today, and as we take a look from Chris Johnston on Twitter, he says Dylan Demelo signs a 4-year extension with the Jets, carrying a $4.9 million AAV. And yes, that's kind of the ballpark we're in right now for a defenseman, around the $5 million mark. I think this is a great contract, honestly, for Dylan DeMelo. I think he's, a great standout player on the Winnipeg Jets blue line. He's really improved over his time in Winnipeg and has definitely earned himself this contract. I mean, if we just take a look at the numbers here from Dylan DeMelo. 82 games this season. He had 31 points, 83 shots. He was a plus minus of 46, averaging 21 minutes time on ice. And he's the big defensive defenseman guy for the Winnipeg Jets team. He had 167 hits with 139 blocks this season. This is a great contract for them. I believe he's, like they say here, 31 years of age. So that will get him to at least 35 years old. So signing this defensive defenseman for 4.9 for 4 years, I think is a exceptional deal for the Winnipeg Jets. And I think that's where we're going to see all the baselines of these defensemen go. I think, if you're looking for a defensive defenseman, this is the ballpark you're going to look for depending on the term of the deal that you're looking at. And I think we will start to see a lot of these defensemen start to sign for $5 million plus this offseason, depending, on their ability and all this stuff like this. But it is a very good ballpark to start with Dylan DeMelo. He's a great defensive defenseman. So if you're looking for a guy who's going to hit, block, and DeMelo can put a few points up on the board for you, this is a great ballpark to start in. I think this is a very, very solid contract for the Winnipeg Jets club, and I think you should be happy if you're a Jets fan, because you need these type of defensemen to, be successful in the NHL, and you got your guy here in Dylan DeMelo, and it's going to be interesting to see. We got Chris Tanev. We got so many, similar defensemen to Dylan DeMelo coming up in free agency. And now we're kind of setting the baseline at, between 4 to 4+ million. That's where I'm saying I think 4.9 is a good starting line for all these defensive defensemen coming up in free agency. And, if you're looking at the Toronto Maple Leafs right now, I know a lot of you guys watching this are Leafs fans. If you're looking for a defensive defenseman like Chris Tanev, you're going to be looking at a number like this, in my opinion. And if, the Leafs want to go out and get a couple defensemen, it isn't going to be cheap. It's going to be a costly venture just by looking at this contract, but it is definitely needed, and great signing by the Winnipeg Jets. Love to see the defensemen get paid. I'm a big defensive defenseman guy. I love these type of players, and Dylan DeMelo is that. But we're going to get into the second topic of the video today, which is DeBrusk interested in joining the Leafs. And yes, we've talked here on the channel the last couple of days about how the Leafs have been interested in signing Jake DeBrusk come this free agency, and today we got a huge update on that. If we just take a look here from Nick Alberga, who is a host on the Leafs Morning Take. This is a credible source. He says, furthermore, I heard over the weekend that there's actually mutual interest between the Leafs and Jake DeBrusk. So after we heard that report from Nick Kiprio saying that, the Leafs are looking at DeBrusk, now we're hearing just a couple days later that there is mutual interest between Jake DeBrusk camp and the Toronto Maple Leafs camp. So this is huge for the Toronto Maple Leafs. This is a guy who could really come in and do a lot of things here for Toronto. I think he's the perfect fit here. And if we just take a look at his stats this season with the Boston Bruins in 80 games, he put up 40 points in his career. He has put up multiple 60-point seasons. He had 183 shots, He was averaging 16, almost 17 minutes time on ice, and they say here, a little bit of a breakdown, he's 27 years old, so, he's still young, he still has a lot of prime left in him, prime years left in Jake DeBrusk. They say here his expected plus minus is 1.4, and he shoots 10.4% on the season, which means 10% of the time he shoots, it's going in the back of the net, and I really like this for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think this is someone that they really need. Especially if they're looking at shipping out Mitch Marner, they're going to need somebody to fill this hole. And I think Jake DeBrusk is that perfect guy who you can get in around, I would say, around the $5.5 to $6.5 million range. Maybe a bit higher. I think that's the ballpark that I'm putting this in, depending on the term of the contract, obviously. But if you're signing a guy like Jake DeBrusk, you're signing him, I would say, to at least 4 or 5 year deal, because he is 27. He's still in the prime of his career, and he's the best. He was the best playoff performer for the Boston Bruins this past offseason. I think it was 11 points he put up in this playoffs. So this is something that the Toronto Maple Leafs need. They need that playoff guy. They need that guy who, isn't the best in the regular season, like a Mitch Marner. Obviously, if you're comparing DeBrusk to Mitch Marner, it's like chalk and cheese here, because Mitch Marner is so good in the regular season, but then it kind of seems like especially this year in the playoffs, that the foot kind of came off the gas a little bit. But when you look at Jake DeBrusk, he's solid in the regular season. He's not going to go out there and get you 90 points like a Mitch Marner, but he's going to get you 40 to 60 points in the regular season. But then when the playoffs rolls around, it just seems like he puts the pedal to the floor and he just goes at his best. And that's what the Maple Leafs need. They need guys who can get it done in the playoffs, because they have guys who can get it done in the regular season. I mean, Willie Nylander, they have Austin Matthews, guys like this who have been proven to do it in the regular season for them, and not taking away from Jake DeBrusk here, because he can still get it done in the regular season, no doubt about it, especially if he's playing with a star-studded roster like the Toronto Maple Leafs. But when playoff time comes around, Jake DeBrusk is a different animal, and this is what the Maple Leafs need. They need someone who, in the playoffs, is going to step their game up, because in recent years, we haven't really seen this, and I think this would be a huge signing for the Toronto Maple Leafs. It would be, one of the biggest signings for the Leafs this offseason if they do go out and get him, because obviously they're going to be looking at the defense, they're going to be looking at that side of the game, and obviously a backup goalie as well. But I think when you're looking at forwards and you're looking at who's available and how much money you got and what you can throw out and get a forward, I think that Jake DeBrusk is the perfect fit here, and I think he would mesh very well in this top to middle six for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So I want to hear your guys' thoughts on Jake DeBrusk down below. Do you think the Leafs should go out and sign this guy? I'd love to hear your guys' opinions on that down below in the comment section. But we're going to get into everybody's favorite topic here, which is comment of the day. And the comment of the day today goes to John Cherry. He says, love the Wall deal. If he stays healthy, he could be worth close to 6. If he does get injured, that is 3.5 to 4 million cap space when he goes on LTIR. And John says it right here. I mean, I've seen a lot of conflicting comments on that video yesterday saying, this is a bad signing, this is a good signing, I love this, I hate this. But I think John kind of clues it up here perfectly by saying, hey, by the end of this contract, he's going to be worth close to 6, because he's still young. He still is going to develop. He's in the prime of his career right now, and he's going to have the best years of his career during this contract, in my opinion. So why not take the risk on a guy like this and see if you can get an even better goaltender than what Joseph Woll already is, which I think he is already exceptional. Maybe not the best in the league, maybe not, touching the top 5 in the league, but I think he could get there in this next 3 years. And he says, I've seen a lot of people worried about the injury part of this, worried about, Joseph Woll's injury prone. He's only played 9 games or something in the NHL. Why are we signing him for this much? It's about signing him for the future. It's he's your future. He's your future in the net for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And if the 3 years is over and that's it, then who do you got? You got Dennis Hill to be waiting and chomping at the bit to get up to the NHL. So it is a big risk, but I think it's really going to pay off. And like John said, if he goes down injured, then you got that money towards the LTIR that you can spend on going out and getting or spend or trade to get another goaltender in, which it is definitely worth it in my opinion for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Love the contract, but if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure down below hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. We're on the way to 4,000 subscribers here on the channel, so if you're not subscribed already, want to keep up to date on what's going to happen over this offseason, make sure down below and hit that subscribe button. Also, while you're down there, leave a comment. You might be featured on the next comment of the day, just like our buddy John here. And if you want to check out that video I did on the Joseph Woll contract and the Mitch Marner trade update, it'll be popping up on your screen right now. But as always, I've been your host, KC. Keep your stick on the ice.